Welcome to Peter and Roughie's Football Show. It's your daily fix of football chat on STV. The main talking points tonight: Nir Bitton is going nowhere according to Celtic. That's despite reports suggesting he could be off in the summer to the Barclays Premier League. There's a manager and a player of the month awards over at Easter Road. We'll be talking about Alan Stubbs and John McGinn just shortly. And we'll look at the weekend's results across the Premier League and of course some of the other games in the lower leagues in the Scottish Cup as well, all in the company of Alan Rough and Gordon Smith, our Bootroom guest. Delighted to have Gordon along with us. And there's also another interesting little story that's emerged today, which is the former SPFL Chief Executive, or SPL as it was known then, Roger Mitchell, revealing that there were plans afoot, Gordon Smith, for the two Dundee clubs to merge in 1999.
Yeah, I think that's quite interesting. I remember at times it was out there to a degree. There was a bit of discussion on it, but nothing ever came of it. But now Roger Mitchell was actually saying that it was on the cards. That there were actually discussions about it. Because one of the things I said at the time was, when I was in Austria in Vienna, I played for a team that had merged. Two clubs had merged, and it was Vienna Wacker and Viera Admira. And what happened was they merged the two clubs, thinking they both had about a £5,000 or £6,000 people crowd at their games on average, and they thought by merging they would get 12,000. And when actually they merged the two clubs, the crowd they were getting was about 4. Which showed you that people had no interest in the new club, because their allegiance was to the old club that was now no longer there. Yeah. So that was the big danger of merging the two Dundee clubs, because they have a fanatical support, but if you merge the two of them, does it necessarily mean you take the fans with you?
Yeah, well, that's a good point, Gordon. I certainly wouldn't like to suggest it would have been a good idea, Ruffy, because the last thing we want to do is alienate people in these stormy times across the whole of the SPFL. But what I do think would be a good idea, and I still think it's a good idea, one stadium.
Yeah, I was going to say that the other now. I thought that would be the way ahead. I think the two of them get together could have a wonderful stadium. Both of them obviously have stadiums right across the road. You wouldn't be much moving or anything like that if you were to knock them down and stay in the same area. And it's the way ahead, because most players now don't come to the stadium until a Saturday. They've all got their own training grounds and they go there and do everything there, then report for the game whenever they're playing. So I thought that'd be a super idea.
Yeah, well, I mean, that is an even better idea on that. I mean, at the end of the day, you could have a blue section, I beg your pardon, and a tangerine section.
Yeah, I agree. It would have made total sense. But I mean, even at that stage, you've got Inter Milan and Milan share a stadium as well at that time, and you're thinking, well, that's two major clubs.
Are there any others, Gordon?
I'm trying to think of any others that do it. But as I say, I mean, even in Barcelona, to be fair, they don't even share. Barcelona and Espanyol, they have different stadiums. So I suppose to a certain degree, Real Madrid, Atletico. So there's always been a case of people half of their own. But financially, it would have made sense, because the fact was the two stadiums are across the road from each other.
Yes,
I don't know anybody else in the world as well where there's two stadiums across the road.
Yeah, I think there was talk of even Liverpool and Everton sharing a stadium in Stanley Park, and when you see the distance the two of them are apart, you think to yourself, a little bit of vision, red and a blue section, and everybody moves on. You save a bit of money, and then you can put it to your playing staff. Yeah,
as I say, I mean, I think that it makes sense, but in terms of merging the two clubs, I just think that it would have been difficult, Peter, because I say the fans have got an allegiance to Dundee and Dundee United. You form a new club, you call them Dundee City or whatever. Do fans continue with that allegiance? I'm not sure they do. I think a lot of them would step away.
I think Inverness is a perfect example. Inverness, Cali Thistle were two who merged.
Yes.
But Inverness hasn't gained any support. Their average support's about 3,000.
I think they might have gained the odd hundreds here and there when you're winning.
Not much. Because but the other aspect of Inverness is those clubs were like Highland League clubs merged, and the clubs have gone up through the divisions. So they've maybe get a few more people have become associated with them because they're playing at a higher level. Whereas when they merged at first, I don't know how it worked with the two clubs, because we're Highland League.
I have to say to you though, the only thing that I can hear in my head is the words of the late great Wallace Mercer, tribalism. You just can't beat it, can you? It exists everywhere. Okay, some of the other stories, if you get up early in the morning, you see a story and then you have to wait maybe a couple of hours, it usually gets batted down. That's the way it's going at the moment with Nir Bitton. Now, he signed a deal to 2020. So, here's how it works, and see if you agree with this. Signs the deal to 10 to 20. You on the programme said, Roughie, well, that's great. Celtic will get money when they eventually sell him. Suddenly there's a transcript of his agent speaking on apparently Israeli radio saying, yep, he'll be going to the Premiership in the summer. And Celtic have released a statement saying he's going nowhere. Now, somewhere in the middle, it probably is a little bit of truth one way, a little bit of truth the other way on this. He's probably going nowhere right now, but if Celtic get a £10 to £12 million offer, he's off. Yeah,
I agree with you. I think his agent probably knows there's interest in him, because I'm no doubt people will be looking at him, because I think if I was an English club just now, he's one player I would be, because I think his improvement has been excellent. I think he really has come on. I think he's looking like a top class player, and I think that they'll be measuring him on where he can play in the Premier Division down in England, and I think there would be a big bid, because even 10-12 million to an English club nowadays is not a fortune in terms of the money it's an English game, as we well know. And his agent might know about that, and he's saying, well, he'll probably be away in the summer. They've obviously signed him. Celtic have done a long contract, because that's what you also do with a player who there is interest in, because you're making sure that his contract's not going to run out quickly. Therefore, his value becomes higher in that respect.
And of course, Roughie, nobody is privy to the conversation between agent and club and player when they eventually all get round the table and sign the deal to keep him there to 2020.
Yeah, I mean, we're hearing stories. I mean, Gordon will know more about it because he was an agent, but when we played, you just went into the office and the contract was put in front of you, and it was close season wages, playing wages, all right, I'll sign here. But now, I mean, there's so many clauses. There's loyalty clauses after 3 years. There's clauses for this, clauses for that. So I would be sure there'd be a lot of things when he signed that 5-year deal. What would be in that? There would be a price of if a bid came in, it would be all that carry on. But I just think that it's an agent.
But we were pre-Bosman as well in our era, which meant that even though you were signing contracts, Peter, you had no freedom to leave when your contract was up.
Well, that's the point I'm making. I mean, Roughie, why did you sign that 6-year deal at Thistle and then moan about it?
No, it was Bertie conned me. He says, you've got 3 years, you've got like you to be here for 3 years, but we'd like to give you a 3-year option as well. So that was you.
And the option was for the club.
That was you 6 years.
I could have been sitting here with 2 Manchester City ex-players. It's got a bit of gravitas about it, Roughie. But hey, you're at Thistle and it's you had a good career. I don't think you'd complain about it now, would you?
Loved it. Loved every minute. What a great family club and great guys to play with. It was really good.
Absolutely. Congratulations to Hibs. It's a double celebration. Alan Stubbs is the manager of the month, and John McGinn is the player of the month in the Championship. Well deserved.
I think so. I think Hibs, on a great run. I knew Alan Stubbs would come into contention for it, because in that month they beat Rangers, which was the crucial game. Rangers have won all their other games, but they couldn't beat Hibs, and Hibs won it. And it was a great game on the night, and it gave Hibs a big confidence booster. And John McGinn has been excellent as well. He's been a player that's been a standout. So I don't think would be any complaint about the 2 awards being given.
Yeah, McGinn for the game against Rangers alone, where he just absolutely covered every blade of grass, Roughie.
Yeah, but he's been like in most of the games. He's been the main guy. He's taken over for Scott Allen. I think all the Hibs supporters were beginning to panic when he left, but he's given a new dimension. He's a different kind of player. I think he's involved in the game more than Scott Allen. I thought Scott Allen not come into a game, come out of a game, but when he came in, he obviously had a bit of class. But the wee boy McGinn's got everything, and he's all over the place.
Yeah, and no surprise that Alan Stubbs says, speculation when the manager wins an award and he starts to get a bit of praise. He's linked with the Reading job, but I don't think Alan Stubbs is in any way ready to move, and certainly not to Reading.
No, I don't think so. I think he wants to see the job out. He seems that kind of guy. That he's got a 2-year plan or whatever. I think his objective would be to get back in to the big league and prove himself there, because I think everybody's admiring what he's doing. So I'm sure there'll be a bigger club out there if he started to do it in the SPFL.
Yeah, and he says the right things as well. I think he's conducted himself superbly well at Easter Road.
Yeah, the only sort of arguments I've seen back and forward was a little bit with Mark Warburton at one stage, when he was actually saying, well, he's got all the money, he should be getting success and should be winning. There was a little bit of a confrontation.
Yeah. We like a ding dong.
We like that, a wee bit of an argument. Yeah.
We love a noise up.
He was making a genuine point to a degree, wasn't he? That Rangers probably have got a better budget than Hibs, but not much better, I don't think so. But I think there's a real, it was a war of words, but there's a real battle going on between the two managers in terms of the want automatic promotion, because you get in a playoff, it's always tough. Rangers found that last year when they had to play against Motherwell, and the last thing Hibs would want would be to be in a playoff, because you've then got to beat the teams who are down, one of the teams down there with you as well. Yeah.
Okay. Matt Warburton was also incidentally mentioned linked with the Swansea job this morning. There's no point in us just adding that to the long list of Matt Warburton links. It's just a story that goes on and on. We'll talk about Rangers and others next. Welcome back to Peter and Roughie's Football Show. Alan Rough and Gordon Smith are alongside me, Peter Martin, on Monday night's programme. I always have this vision of maybe somebody bringing Mark Warburton his tea and his toast in the breakfast, Roughie, and after last week when he had such hassle and he was so irritated by being linked with other clubs, he must have looked at the paper this morning and just started ripping it up. There's always somebody linked with Mark Warburton in another club down south, isn't there?
Yeah, but as any manager will tell you, it's always good to get a mention. It doesn't mean you're actually going to take it. It means you're doing well. It means somebody has noticed that whatever you're doing, they quite fancy it. So he knows himself that he's got a job to do there, and I'm sure where he's come from, we would like to see it out, just like Alan Stubbs.
Yeah, sometimes it's just nothing to do with the manager, everything to do with an agent, maybe something to do with a whisper here or there from a club just to see if there's a wee bit of interest that it might be worth pursuing. That happened this morning with David Moyes and the Swansea job, and then later on somebody said, oh wait a minute, David Moyes not interested in the Swansea job. Here's a better question. I wonder what kind of club David Moyes is waiting on.
Yeah, I would assume it would be Premiership, which Swansea are. So I think that it would have to be. It's
not that level though, Gordon.
No, it's not the highest level, no. But to be honest with you, he took Everton over a time when Everton weren't a top club.
But I don't think he wants to go into a situation where he's got to try and replicate an Everton scenario.
Yeah, no.
He might be asked to do that though, Peter. Because what it might be, somebody maybe looks at his track record and say, well, at Man United in a short space of time, he didn't do much for his reputation. Although I felt he wasn't treated well at all, he got a hard time. He's definitely a better manager than what he showed at Manchester United. Yeah. I think that's gone against him in terms of his career. So what they're looking back at is Everton, what he did for them for a while, and Preston before that, and maybe it'll be a club in that sort of scenario that will want him.
I'm slightly biased, Roughie. I think with 230 million extra money to spend, that David Moyes' Manchester United might have been slightly more entertaining than the one we're watching now under Louis van Gaal.
Well, if you go by the Man United supporters, there was certainly boos at the end of the game. They're just bred on being excited by exciting players, and as it is just now, they don't have somebody that gets them off their seat. They've always had that kind of player, and when you don't have that player, then when the fans start to vent their anger, it's a rocky road to go down.
Okay, there's a club that week in, week out certainly just go about their business in a professional way. I'm talking, of course, about Hearts. The latest player that there could be talks on going with to get him over the line is Osman Sow. He scored, I think, 12 goals last season, 8 this season. He's well worthy of a new contract, do you think?
Yeah, well, I think that's where they're trying to get him on it. They're trying to get 2 or 3 guys on it. I mean, they really have saw how good they've done this year, and they want to keep it going, and it's forward planning as far as they're concerned. They're looking at possibly next year, maybe they might lose somebody, maybe they might have to lose somebody just to get some money in, same as everybody, other club, but I think you try to get your best players.
I saw Craig Levine doing a piece on the fact that it's something that was interesting to me, that they've not really been bringing through a lot of Scottish players of late, and most of the signings have been foreign, and he says it's basically down to money. It's a lot cheaper to get players from abroad than it is to get players in this country, even from England, because if you try to compete with the English wages, you're talking about maybe going conference level to compete for wages.
And it's a whole new programme to how we try and reverse that trend and deal with it. I think the key area is to try and get as many Scottish players as possible, at least playing at a certain level, and then maybe you get the odd scrap that nobody else seems to be noticing, that could be their best hope. But nevertheless, trying to get Osman Sow on a deal. We didn't have too many games to look forward to at the weekend. Certainly more than a few were getting called off hour by hour. I think St Johnstone deserve tremendous credit. I mean, the away wins on the road, and of course the captain comes up with a great winner late on for St Johnstone up at Ross County.
Yeah, I mean, it is amazing. I mean, it's 7 away wins in a row, 5 of them in the league, 2 in the League Cup, obviously, which were at Rangers and Morton. But you have to look at it and say that's a great run. We did have a chat about it before the match on Saturday, and more or less saying that they are a difficult team to play against when they're away from home, because they're good at playing that rate. Their performances and their results are probably better away from home than they are at home. But it was quite funny because I looked back at the stats, and they'd actually lost. I think they'd lost their previous 5 away games, and then all of a sudden they won 7 in a row. So they're certainly getting it right now, and I think it was a tremendous performance and a great result, because they are up now, and I do feel that St Johnstone will be a top 4 side. They're challenging again. They got there last year. They got the Europa place, and I think they'll be doing the same this year. Yeah,
I'm not for a minute criticising you personally, Gordon, but I mean, like last night, I'll take it on the chin, the criticism. I mean, I went to see Duran from the 80s, and they were magnificent. Have you ever thought of getting out and stop looking at the stats continually?
I was watching a film last night when I was looking at the stats. No, I can't. I just find it interesting.
I'm
can't,
you up.
I know you are, but I can't help myself. I just think I'm going to check some of them. 7 away wins in a row. Then you I just check back, and then I go, oh no, they were losing all their away games. So I can't help myself. It's one of my big problems is looking at stats. Don't worry about it.
When you're doing that, I usually get up early in the morning to check those stats as well. But nevertheless, good win for them. I love the Killie 1, Dundee United 1. Both managers suddenly taking positives out of it. A 1-1 draw. There's a long, long way to go, especially for Dundee United, Roughie.
Yeah, it certainly has. But again, I mean, we just saw the highlights, and again it was the Billy Mackay show. Every chance fell to him, and then again, as we spoke about it on Saturday, he's got a knack at just hitting the goalie. And when he's through 1-on-1, and I mean, that could just turn just like that. He could start hitting the back of the net. But if they could get somebody else creating the chances, they might get a.
Well, it's a terrible stat to bring up, Roughie, but it was mentioned the fact that, and I think it was Craig mentioned it before the game, that since August, he's the only player who's scored.
Yes. He's the only one that looks like scoring.
Yeah, but and Mixer says, oh, he'll get a hat-trick shortly. I think, well, your best chance of winning a game is if he gets a hat-trick, because, to be honest with you, nobody else is scoring goals for him, and they've got to find another goal scorer.
Yeah, absolutely. But again, you're right, Roughie. Some of these chances that he gets over and above the one he converts, could convert a draw into a win. As far as the other match was concerned, well, Aberdeen, I thought, cruised it. I was so disappointed with Dundee, but Aberdeen were excellent.
Yeah, I thought they were, particularly early on. They looked as if they'd upped the pace. I thought the pressure of chasing Celtic all the time was beginning to tell. You could see people going into a wee shell. But certainly, if you let them score early on, the confidence comes back, and you can see they've got players in there who are going to cause you trouble. McGinn, was back on top for him again early on in that game. But I don't know you, but I thought Dundee had chances. I thought the Aberdeen goalkeeper had some excellent saves, and I mean, again, they're just going through a bad spell just now, and Paul seems to be chopping and changes, and they just have to get a win just to get them back on.
One win in their last 9 league games, Dundee. It's not good enough. When you saw them at the beginning of the season, we all thought they're going to be flying because of the great performance at Kilmarnock, 3 goal scorers in their team up front. It just didn't work for them. Aberdeen definitely deserved to win, though, and I think they were more like themselves, Peter. Aberdeen were more like the team they were in the early part of the season. Key players coming back in and getting form again are McGinn and Hayes. For me, I know Willie Flood get man of the match, but for me, they're the 2 key guys that can score and create.
Yeah, well, I think we were talking about some of the best trios in the world, and we were talking about Neymar, Suarez and Messi, and then I saw a tweet about the great trio of Rooney, McGinn and Hayes. It's all about levels, folks, to be honest with you, but nevertheless, I think when Hayes plays, I think Aberdeen look as if they can win. Let's have a look at the table to let you see how it all looks in the Premiership. Obviously some games called off, but Aberdeen close the gap on Celtic and St Johnstone. You know, you never know. St Johnstone maybe have ambitions of trying to get even better, get an even better and higher position in the league before the end of the season, Gordon.
Yeah.
When you think of the Scottish Cup win and where they finished the last time.
Absolutely, and it's interesting to look at the league table there. I mean, only 4 teams, and it's the top 4, which includes St Johnstone, Hearts, Aberdeen, Celtic. They're the only ones with positive goal difference. Everybody else, Ross County's got a 0 goal difference, but everybody else is negative. So it just shows you they are the form teams, and I think they're striding away with it. The other team's got a fight on, and at the bottom of the league, there's no doubt about it. Dundee United, I felt, threw away points on Saturday.
Yeah.
A great opportunity, and they had to win that game because Kilmarnock have kept their 8-point lead.
Yep. This programme's all about opinions. On Saturday, I suggested maybe Liverpool could win the Barclays Premier League. Look what happened yesterday with Newcastle. I don't think anybody suggested that. We also paid tribute to some of the great work all the clubs and the players are doing at the moment, going out and going to hospitals to cheer up some sick kids and other patients just by giving them some presents and being there. And full marks to Carlisle, Roughie. The Carlisle players, obviously their park is waterlogged, but they're out helping some of the people who've got flood damage, and I think that's a really good positive football message.
Yep, I think it is. When you're part of a community and you're an entertainer, you should go out and help everybody, and I think that's what they're doing. It's just great to be out there, and I'm sure that'll help them in the long run, you know, because it's always having everybody fighting their own battles.
Yeah, okay, good line, Roughie. If you're an entertainer, you should be out there. Roughie is available for home visits, just in case you want to give him a call. From Roughie, Gordon, and myself, thank you for watching. Good night.